Here's the ugly truth about Morgan Corinthos. His death was the best thing to ever happen to Carly and Sonny. Soap operas thrive on resurrection. Death, on daytime television, is less a permanent exit than a dramatic pause. Yet even in a genre where characters claw their way out of graves, return with new faces, or survive explosions that should have vaporized them, the question of whether General Hospital should bring back Morgan Corinthos sparks sharp division. On one side is the sentimental faction. Morgan, the perfect blend of Carly's recklessness and Sonny's volatility, was a compelling character whose chaotic energy made him far more watchable than his sanctimonious brother Michael. His return, they argue, would be a heartwarming jolt of drama, especially with the chance to finally meet little sister Donna. The fact that his body was never recovered is an open invitation to soap logic. Then there is the opposite camp, the ones who would rather Morgan stay firmly buried beneath the rubble of that cliff that has conveniently swallowed half of Port Charles over the decades. Their reasoning is blunt. His death serves as one of the only real consequences Sonny and Carly have ever faced. To erase it with another back from the dead storyline would undo years of hard-earned, or at least semi-earned, emotional stakes. Morgan's death may have been tragic, but it gave Sonny and Carly a rare taste of accountability. Removing that loss would hand them yet another victory in a world where they already win too often. The no resurrection voices also point to fatigue. Audiences are drowning in recycled resurrections. Jason, Nicholas, countless Cassadines, and the endless parade of villains who simply refuse to stay dead. At this point, reviving Morgan risks turning the show into a supernatural parody of itself, closer to the Twilight Zone than a soap opera. There's also the matter of Morgan himself. Nostalgia paints him as a tragic anti-hero, but memory is selective. Morgan could be endearing in his impulsiveness, yes, but he was also a loud, obnoxious storm of self-pity and bad decisions. His bipolar storyline brought realism, but many viewers are reluctant to revisit yet another cycle of manic breakdowns tied to mob violence. Casting complicates the debate further. Brian Craig, whose intensity defined Morgan, left the role on bad terms, most infamously threatening a fan at an event, which makes his return unlikely. Some would accept a recast. Others insist Morgan, without Craig, would be like Jason, without Steve Burton. Technically possible, but emotionally hollow. Interestingly, the debate over Morgan quickly spills into a larger frustration with Port Charles. If someone must return, why not Kiki, who was cut down too soon? Or Julian, who remains divisive but undeniably entertaining? Or AJ, whose exit felt like a narrative mugging? Some would even prefer to resurrect long-forgotten legacies, Justice Ward, Serena Baldwin, even a properly written Christina Rising as the next Cassadine heir. The underlying gripe is less about Morgan himself than about the writer's chronic inability to resist their own recycling bin. Ultimately, Morgan's death remains one of the rare narrative choices that gave lasting weight to Sonny and Carly's endless mob melodrama. To reverse it would be to sandblast away one of the few scars these characters actually carry. Yes, Morgan embodied the fire of his parents and could stir the pot like no other. But soaps, for all their resurrections, still need boundaries. Without them, the stakes vanish. If Port Charles insists on raising the dead yet again, better it be someone whose return doesn't erase the one authentic consequence of Sonny and Carly's empire. Otherwise, the next explosion might as well just blow open the doors to the afterlife permanently and install revolving ones. Willow didn't give Monica a sweet memory. She stole Michael's goodbye. Willow has a remarkable talent for turning other people's moments into her own. Take Monica's last day, for example. Michael, who visited his grandmother faithfully every morning, was denied a final goodbye, not by fate, but by Willow's well-timed intrusion. Disguising Scout's school day tradition as a Trojan horse, she disrupted the family routine and cost Michael his last words with Monica. Whatever wisdom Monica might have offered her grandson is now forever lost. Collateral damage of Willow's self-importance. If fairness existed in the Quartermain household, Michael and Tracy would have escorted Willow out immediately. Wiley's feelings be damned. He is a child, incapable of grasping the stakes. While Willow has consistently chosen Drew, the man who abused Wiley's stability, over Wiley himself, Michael's inability to summon the resolve to deal with Willow properly is precisely why she continues to leave wreckage in her wake. What makes this storyline so maddening is how the writers seem intent on shielding Willow from consequence. If this intrusion goes unaddressed, it will serve as yet another example of her being elevated and protected when, by all rights, she should be exiled from the Quartermaine fold entirely. Monica's final day should have been a poignant reminder of life's fragility, of how quickly moments slip away amidst chaos. Instead, it became yet another showcase for Willow's knack for hijacking center stage. Supporters of Willow point to Scout's visit as noble, arguing that Monica's last morning was filled with joy, surrounded by her cherished grandchildren. In their telling, Willow gave Scout a gift, one final, first day of school memory with Monica. Perhaps. But altruism was never the driving force. The moment was as much about Willow inserting herself as it was about honoring Scout's tradition. And let's not forget, Scout's very presence violated Drew's restraining order. That alone should have barred her from stepping foot in the house. Yet, rules apparently bend when Willow decides they do. Still, two truths can coexist. Willow was selfish, and yet, she ensured Scout saw Monica one last time. It may be the only genuinely right choice she's made in years. Without her interference, Scout would likely have missed that final goodbye, and Monica's last memory might have been just another routine Michael visit. In that sense, Willow gave Monica and Scout a fleeting gift before the curtain fell. But even granting her that sliver of credit, Willow remains who she has always been. A character propped up by the writers, draped in unearned virtue, and never made to answer for her choices. Whether Scout's visit softened Monica's final morning is almost beside the point. The reality is that Willow's intrusion cost Michael his last words with his grandmother, and no amount of sentimental revision can undo that. Here's what the writers don't want you to admit. The most exciting women on GH are stuck with the worst love lives. General Hospital has always excelled at romance, yet three of its most dynamic women, Ava, Alexis, and Nina, remain perpetually underserved. Each has had iconic entanglements, but none has been allowed the luxury of a sweeping, definitive love story. Instead, they are left adrift, surrounded by lackluster suitors and half-baked plotlines. If the writers refuse to give them prop romantic arcs, perhaps it's time to indulge in some what-if chaos, pairings that would never make it to the script but might just set the screen on fire. Alexis Davis deserves better than her current exile to the sidelines. The woman has sparred with mobsters, outwitted schemers, and raised a brood of chaotic children, yet she now languishes in professional doldrums. Imagine her matched with Tom Hardy. No, not that one, though the visual is tempting. His darkness could play beautifully against her cerebral charm. Or Brennan, whose quiet menace could finally give Alexis an adult romance that isn't a parade of disasters. At the very least, Alexis and Diane realizing they've been each other's soulmates all along would be more satisfying than yet another dead-end pairing with Drew or some other man who will inevitably betray her. Ava Jerome, meanwhile, thrives on danger and unpredictability. Her history with Morgan and Ryan proved she doesn't shy away from morally dubious bedfellows, so why not go completely off the rails? A tryst with Jax, especially if recast, would send Carly into a fit of apoplexy, which alone would be worth it. Better yet, pair Ava with someone like Professor Dalton, whose untapped handsomeness is currently wasting away on the sidelines. Even an absurd morning after scenario with Ezra Boyle could at least generate the kind of dark comedy Ava handles so well. And for true soap operatic shock value, Ava and Christina in a drunken who slept with whom mystery arc. It's messy, it's scandalous, and it's exactly the kind of storytelling Ava was built for. Nina Reeves, of course, is the show's perennial wild card. Equal parts cloying and tragic, she somehow manages to drive both her lovers and the audience to distraction. Pairing her with someone like TJ would be absurd, too young, too cougar-coated, but deliciously chaotic. Rick Lansing could work if the writers leaned into a redemption arc where Nina saves him from himself. And while Valentin remains the only man truly capable of handling her unfiltered brand of eccentricity, there's an undeniable allure in watching Nina ricochet from heartbreak to heartbreak until she finally stumbles into someone who matches her madness. The tragedy, of course, is that these pairings are unlikely to materialize. The writers seem determined to keep recycling dull romances while neglecting the very characters who could anchor the show with rich, layered relationships. Instead of wasting Brennan on a brief plot device, or leaving Alexis in permanent widowhood, or keeping Ava chained to repetitive, schemer arcs, General Hospital could reignite its romantic core by taking bold swings. Until then, fans are left to imagine the outrageous: Alexis with Brennan, Ava with Christina, Nina with Rick, or better yet, all three women together creating their own scandalous love triangle. Because if the writers refuse to honor them with great love stories, the least we can do is dream up the chaos they deserve. Here's what the writers don't want you to admit: old episodes of General Hospital put today's show to shame. Thanks to the wonders of YouTube, the decline of General Hospital has never been more glaring. Old episodes make it painfully clear how far the show has fallen. Once upon a time, the writers managed to craft multi-layered episodes featuring more than a handful of characters. Now, the cast might as well be exiled to the Quartermain Mansion's green room, collecting dust while one or two favored characters monopolize the screen. The art of soap opera, chemistry-driven couples, dramatic twists, and simultaneous storylines has been abandoned in favor of flat, unimaginative plotting. Past GH gave us unforgettable pairings: Maxie with Georgie, Luke with Tracy, Sam and Jason, Robin and Patrick, Sunny and Connie, Carly with Johnny Z. These relationships radiated energy, passion, and genuine drama. Compare that to the current state, where even a vibrant character like Dante is rendered a shadow of himself beside the modern Lulu. Watch him with the older Lulu, and suddenly he's alive again, animated, engaging, everything he's not allowed to be anymore. The problem isn't just neglect, it's outright character assassination. Histories are ignored, personalities dismantled, and any semblance of continuity tossed aside. Drew has been rewritten into a grotesque caricature, predator, monster, yet somehow victorious every single time. The show crossed a line there, stripping away what made him tolerable, and instead planting him as a moral eyesore at the center of the narrative. Old episodes remind viewers of what has been lost: 3 storylines weaving seamlessly within a single hour, ensemble storytelling that showcased the breadth of Port Charles, and characters written with care rather than convenience. Today, viewers are left wondering not only where the heart went, but whether the writers even remember the show's history at all. Even the smaller details sting. Take the episode where Cameron, distraught over Franco's death, steals a gun and nearly derails his own future. He believed Jason killed his stepfather, when in truth, Peter August had framed him after murdering Franco himself. It was messy, raw, emotional storytelling, exactly the sort of narrative risk that once made General Hospital worth watching. Instead of investing in its heritage, the show now delivers watered-down drama with no spark and no sense of history. Viewers who dive into YouTube archives quickly realize that today's GH isn't suffering from too much criticism, it's suffering from not nearly enough. They say Spencer's return would save the show. I say it could destroy it. The notion that Trina's potential pregnancy should serve as the cue for Spencer's grand resurrection is both predictable and exhausting. If the writers are going to drag Spencer back from the dead, must it really be tethered to another tired soap trope? An ill-timed pregnancy or a conveniently interrupted wedding? Cue the priest, cue the "does anyone have a reason these two should not be married" line? Cue Spencer's dramatic entrance. Haven't we seen this exact scene play out 100 times before? For starters, Trina does not need a pregnancy storyline. She has barely lived any adult life, and the idea of strapping her with a baby feels more like a narrative punishment than development. If anything, she should be packing her bags for Paris to study art, not preparing for diaper duty. Saddling her with domestic melodrama would be the fastest way to stifle a character who deserves far more. As for Kai, does anyone actually care? He isn't offensive, just painfully dull. Every scene is a masterclass in how to make young romance feel lifeless. If the writer's goal was to lull viewers into a coma, congratulations! Kai has become the human embodiment of beige wallpaper. Pairing Trina with him only highlights how wasted her character is at the moment. Which brings us back to Spencer. Yes, many fans adored Nicholas Alexander Chavez's version of the role. His departure left an emotional crater, and the so-called Sprina fandom thrived largely because of the actor's chemistry. But let's be realistic. Parachuting in a recast will not magically restore that lightning in a bottle. New life can sometimes save a role. Michael Corinthos benefited from a fresh face after years of stagnation, but Spencer wasn't stale when Chavez left. To expect a replacement to replicate that same magic is setting everyone up for disappointment. And what of the actor himself? Chavez has been busy looking perpetually annoyed, releasing a bizarre shoe campaign video, and bulking up while angling for loftier roles like Rudolf Nureyev. Admirable career moves, perhaps, but not exactly fueling optimism for a sudden Spencer revival. Ultimately, the Spencer question exposes the larger problem. This show's addiction to recycling. If Spencer returns from the dead just in time to halt a wedding, it will be soap writing on autopilot. If he stays dead, the canvas might actually have room to tell new stories. And if the writers insist on tethering Trina's future to a baby, then the true tragedy won't be Spencer's absence. It will be watching a once promising young character reduced to cliché. Cody Bell doesn't need another dead-end romance, and these pairings would be a complete disaster. Cody Bell remains the perennial, almost love interest of General Hospital, charming enough to spark interest, yet constantly derailed before a storyline can take root. After the Sasha fiasco ended in a genealogical roadblock, the writers seem unsure what to do with him. So, who should Cody actually end up with? Let's evaluate the contenders. Christina Corinthos Davis. Yes, she usually prefers women. But imagine the soapy chaos if she impulsively enlists Cody to help her have a baby, only to catch feelings in the process. It's absurd, implausible, and therefore perfect daytime television. Molly Lansing Davis. The obvious frontrunner. Their chemistry is undeniable. Their personalities balance each other, and together they could easily become Port Charles's new it couple. Cody's humor and lightheartedness chip away at Molly's rigid perfectionism, while her stability keeps him out of trouble. Moko might be the slow burn fans didn't know they needed, but it's the most natural direction for his character. Yuku's Yenir a missed opportunity. Cody's irreverence and immaturity could have softened Lulu's infamous nagging streak, creating a more playful dynamic than she ever had with Dante. A PI power couple with actual charm? Yes, please. If Lulu returns, this pairing deserves a second chance. Britt Westbourne. This option exists solely to clear Jason Morgan's path back to Elizabeth. It's less about Cody's happiness and more about freeing up the chessboard. Still, Britt and Cody had a spark worth revisiting, even if it was short-lived. Brooke Lynn Quartermain fantasy pairing at best, considering she's happily married. The suggested scenario, Cody as her secret admirer turned accidental baby daddy after Chase cheats, is fan fiction fodder, not soap opera plotting. Besides, Brooke Lynn doesn't need more pregnancy drama. Willow Tate. The only person less popular in Port Charles than Cyrus Renault at a church picnic. Pairing her with Cody would be a charity project, not a romance. She needs a sabbatical in Shadybrook, not another love story. Ava Jerome or Nina Reeves. Every soap needs its cougar fling, and Cody playing boy toy to either of these power players could deliver some deliciously messy drama. Is it sustainable? Absolutely not. Would it be fun to watch crash and burn? Absolutely. The wild card, Carly Corinthos. Because sometimes the only thing better than messy is spectacularly messy. Carly and Cody share the same impulsive act now, regret later wiring, which means the train wreck would be inevitable and irresistible. The verdict. Cody has chemistry with nearly everyone, but the clear endgame is Molly. Together, they bring balance, warmth, and a dash of playful unpredictability, qualities the show desperately needs in a central romance. Lulu stands as a strong backup should she return, while Ava, Nina, or Carly would provide the glorious chaos soaps thrive on. In the meantime, Port Charles should count itself lucky. Cody Bell may be underused, but his romantic potential is nearly limitless.